My name is Sue McLeaf-Nispecka. I am from Kid Lit Plus Consulting, and I want to thank the Pennsylvania Office of Commonwealth Libraries for creating this videotape. I'm going to talk about the importance of sharing books with babies, how to share books with babies, and also how to do storytime programming in libraries for babies ages 0 to 2. But first, why share books with babies? We know that reading to babies is a very important thing for parents to do because it creates a special time for the parent and the child to bond together. We know that this is the beginning of nurturing a love for books and also for reading. And we know that reading provides very rich language experiences. It also provides visual stimulation for the baby. And the baby can start focusing on the objects in the book. We also know that reading is going to stimulate a child's brain development. It actually is going to help synapse formation in the brain, which determines how smart a child is going to be. Reading is going to provide a baby with the first literary experiences that child has, and we know that these early literacy experiences actually they're going to affect the child's later success in learning to read. So how do we share books with babies? What are the types of things that we should look for? First of all, you can share cloth books or even books like this. This is a shape book where actually the little pig's going to actually pop out, and as you can see, it has the sound that the animal makes underneath. But we want board books also. Now, board books have heavy board pages, and you want to look for something that has rounded edges, not pointed edges, but rounded edges, so that the baby doesn't poke their eye on a pointed edge. If you're putting this in the crib with the baby, you wouldn't want to have those pointed edges. So we want board books, rounded edges. We also want books with bright primary colors, books that have definite contrast between light and dark. We want books that have objects that are familiar to babies, and it's very important to have one object per page. Now, this is a book that was actually done specifically for babies, and as you can see, it does not have one object per page. It's extraordinarily busy with tons of objects. For a baby who is developing vision, it'd be very hard to focus on all these objects. So that's why we want one object per page. When we're using a book like that, one object per page, we can actually identify the object and then also, make a sentence or include it in a sentence. It's good to pick books with children with different faces. They love face books, children from different ethnic groups, books that can be touched or that have different textures to touch and feel. Books that are also interactive, where the baby can actually insert their fingers through the holes in the books or lift up some simple flaps. When reading to a baby, make sure you do not force the reading on the child. We want all reading experiences for any young child to be a positive experience and not a negative one. So if the child is clearly unhappy, it'd be best to wait till another time and try again. It's also very important to share nursery rhymes with children and songs and lullabies with babies. Now, the babies are not going to sit very long and listen. So what is best to do is to read for short periods of time, several times during the day, because a baby might not sit that long to listen to many books. So it'd be better to try throughout the day, short periods of time. And last but not least, pick books that you like and that you can share and be enthusiastic about. Use different voices and sounds. Okay, we're going to talk about some different types of books, different categories of books that are good for babies. Books go in and out of print very, very quickly. So I'm going to talk about some different categories. I'm going to show you some examples, but there will always be newer books that might fit within these categories since books go out of print quickly. So one of the first things we want to look for when the baby is first born are books that have high contrast. Now, this is the first few months only, because the first few months, a baby's vision is not quite developed yet. It's a little bit fuzzy, a little bit blurry. So we want books that have a high contrast of colors, like this one, which is called Black and White by Tana Hoban. This actually even opens up into an accordion book, as you can see. It has two sides to it. And this will be a really good book to sit in a crib for a newborn baby. So again, something with high contrast. Now again, this is just the first couple months of life. After that, their vision will develop more like an adult's and they'll be able to see colors clearly. If we do not have this high contrast between black and white, then we do want things in bright primary colors. So often we think of babies, we think of pastel colors, but actually they cannot distinguish shades of colors. So it's actually better to have the bright primary colors. Well, one thing that we know is important with communication with a baby is to hear the sounds they're making and then also imitate those sounds. Sounds are very important for a young child. This is part of hearing different parts of words, and so that will help them later with learning to read also. So here's a book just about baby sounds, and it's by Joy Allen. It's an introduction to all the sounds a baby might hear in its day. Well, as I mentioned, we like some touch and feel books. Here's one by Sandra Boynton. It's called A Touch, Scritch, and Tickle book. And it has a lot of different little fuzzy objects. This is actually sandpaper, rough, rough, rough. Something smooth, something a little bit bumpy, and this incredibly soft stomach here on this duck. So this is a touch and feel book. Again, the baby is able to touch the object. This is a wonderful sensory experience because we know for synapses to form in the brain, we need sensory experiences, positive, repeated sensory experiences. And so again, they're hearing the book being read to them. They can touch and feel it. That's going to involve another sense for them. Another touch and feel book by Karen Katz called Baby at the Farm. One thing I will caution you, when you're using touch and feel books with children, please make sure that the object is firmly attached to the page. A lot of people still like that Pat the Bunny book for a first baby book, which really is not such a great baby book. It's in pastel colors. It has objects can fall off in their hands, which then it's going to go in their mouth and possibly cover their windpipe. So we want objects, again, bright colors, objects that are firmly attached to the page, that if I pull on it and pull on it and pull on it, it's not going to come off in my hand. Karen Katz, by the way, has a lot of really wonderful books for babies. Now here's another touch and feel book. This is called That's Not My Puppy. And this is put out by a publisher named Usborne, and there's many, many, many books in this series. That's Not My Puppy, Its Coat is Too Hairy. Again, a nice little touch and feel book. Let's move on to another category. Another category that's good for babies are books that show baby faces. And again, you want children of different ethnic groups, etc. So this is one that's put out by the Global Fund for Children. It's called American Babies. And again, it's a wonderful little book with different baby faces. Now, they have done several books. They also have Global Babies, and this one was a little bit more recent from when I'm talking today. It's called Global Baby Girls. So again, these are little children girls from different countries. So face books are another wonderful category to consider. Margaret Miller is another person who's done a lot of wonderful books for babies, and they often have baby close-ups of baby faces. This one's called Baby Faces by Margaret Miller, and we can see this little girl. She says, "Stinky." Uh-oh. So those are good. Now we're going to get into point and say books. Now, point and say books are, you point to the object, and then the parent would say the name, like apple. The apple is red. But what I would encourage you to do, and to model to parents, is to just make a little sentence about the object, like the apple is red. You know, Mom uses apples to make you applesauce. And so that's the point of using a point and say book. But again, look for one object per page. Here's another one called I Love to Eat. And we see things that are very common in a child's life. This one's nice because it has different languages in besides just English. And sometimes it's kind of hard to find board books that are done in a lot of different languages, which is important for libraries to have. So this would be a good one. All these books, I'm going to have a bibliography with the author and the title that you can also access. Okay, when we come to another category, this category is very important. It's rhyme and songs. Babies love music, they love hearing songs, and it's important for parents to sing to their babies and to sing maybe just a tad slower. Because when you sing a little bit slower, the baby can hear the words clearly, they can hear the different sounds in the word to help them later when they learn to talk. Now, this is a very common song. Of course, it's I'm a Little Teapot. And again, nice, it's not very cluttered, very round faces, which is the way children, perceive faces at that young age. And of course, you would be able to sing this. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. And then rhymes, these are done by Child's Play. This is Pat a Cake. Again, the simple nursery rhyme in a book, which is very nicely done. Child's Play also has this one called Bounce and Jiggle, which actually has rhymes, lap rhymes, where you can bounce the baby in your lap or lift them up or down or have little tickle touch rhymes, and it tells the parent exactly how to do the rhyme on the page. Okay, I am going to move on to when the child becomes like a toddler. A toddler, a lot of times in the library world, we use the word toddler, and we think of it as a 2-year-old, which is really kind of incorrect. A toddler is a child who is toddling. And that usually happens long before the age of 2. So we're going to talk about these young toddlers and what books would be good for them also. Well, one of the things we know is when a child approaches age 1, they start understanding object permanence. That is, that if you cover your face with your hands and go peekaboo, they start giggling a lot because they now understand that even though you have those hands in front of your face, that your face is still behind your hands. They start understanding object permanence. And when they understand it, for some reason around age 1, they find it very, very funny. So one of the good things to do around the age of 1, when they start toddling, is to share what we call Peekaboo Books. Now you might ask, what is a Peekaboo Book? A Peekaboo Book is actually a flap book, a lift the flap book. Think about it. When you lift the flap, it's like peekaboo, peekaboo. So these simple flap books, again, this one's by Karen Katz, and she's done a lot of really wonderful things for babies. So this peekaboo effect. Now, sometimes librarians will ask, well, how am I going to circulate that? It's not going to be very sturdy. All you need to do before you circulate it for the first time is just put a piece of tape on the hinge. Just place it flat down on the page, on the hinge. You'd be amazed at how much longer those flaps will stay in place. So that's just a little tip. But these Peekaboo books are excellent for the very young child. And this, again, this one is by Karen Katz. It's actually one of my favorite that I often give as a baby gift because I firmly believe in giving books for babies as baby gifts. Since I'm so into early literacy. So that's a good thing to think about doing. Okay, I have another one here. This is called Peekaboo, I Love You. Now this is kind of nice because it has a touch and feel object on it, but it also has that peekaboo or lift the flap effect in it too. So it has both things in this one book, which is very nice. Okay. Moving along, I want to talk about interactive books. Now again, interactive books are ones where the child can, maybe something will pop up, or maybe they can insert their fingers in or whatever. Here's one by Frances Berry, who does not only good things for babies, but also for 2-year-old children, has a lot of wonderful books. And this one's called Ducky's Splash. And as you can see, it's a board book, rounded edges, very simple text, which is what we're looking for. But let's look at the last page. Oops! See, again, that's almost an element of surprise. It's almost a little bit of a peekaboo effect again. It's going to pop out at the child. And so that'll really interest them, that little pop-up surprise. Here's another series. Now, I love this series of books that are published by Chronicle Press. Not only do they have different pages that are cut out, but they also have a little finger puppet in it. So the parent can actually move that fish around while they're reading in every page. And then maybe later when the child's, a year old or 14, 15 months, they might want to put their finger in there and also move the fish. There's several in this series. There's a bird and different ones, so you can look for those. And one more, which I'll show you. This is, it's called Beep Beep. And this one is a different category now. We talked about touch and feel. Touch and feel are good, but also things that have, again, unusual shapes. It gives them something to feel. Again, it's going to help with those brain synapses. It's a wonderful sensory experience. Okay. All right, moving on. I have two others that are in this category. This is a touch and feel board book. It's called I Like Vegetables. And again, very simple words, some nice little touch and feel elements there. And this one, which is one of my favorites actually, by Selena Yoon, it's called Peekaboo Love. And what I like about this book is it just keeps opening up. So again, there's a lot of element of surprise there. Bee loves, I wonder what's under that heart shape. Flowers. Butterfly loves sunshine. Fish loves bubbles. Bear loves honey. So again, that's a really nice interactive touch and feel type book. Okay, moving along to books in rhyme. I said how important it is to share nursery rhymes with children. This is good for phonological awareness. When they're later learning to read, they can hear the smaller sounds and words. So it's good to share both rhymes and also songs. And this one's called Whose Knees Are These? I particularly like this book because it's depicting an African American child. And again, some of our books, it's hard to find children of other ethnic groups represented. So I really like this one. And we have this one, another one by Karen Katz. Now this is kind of unique because it actually has a rattle in the side of the book. It's called Shake It Up, Baby, and it's about rattling. It's done in rhyme. Touch your nose, touch your tummy, shake your rattle. Isn't that funny? And of course, you could have a child having a real rattle while they're reading that book. And here's another one that's a lot of fun. It's the familiar song Five Little Ducks that a lot of you might know. It has some nice little foil effects on it. And it is the song, but listen. I hope you can hear that. The book actually quacks. So it is the song, Five little ducks went swimming one day over the pond and far away. Mother duck said quack, 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 quack. And again, we got some cut out holes there. But only 4 little ducks came back. And the book will quack at you forever. Okay, how about some simple animal books? This is called 10 in the Den. And it is a familiar song that a lot of people know. There were 10 in the den, and the little mouse said, roll over, roll over. So they all rolled over, and Rabbit fell out. And it's like a countdown rhyme song all in one book. Here's another one called Hello Day. This is really good because it talks about the different sounds animals make. And when children are, getting close to the age of 2, this is something they enjoy doing, talking about the different sounds that animals make. So this is a really good book to help with that, a really good animal book. How about books in this category? We're going to talk about books that are things that are in their everyday life, or some of their everyday activities, like eating and getting dressed, etc. Here's one. Now this character, Llama Llama, is actually in some books for older children, but they have some little board books with the Llama Llama character in. And this is Llama Llama Nighty Night. And it just talks about the experience of, the day's over, it's time to get ready for bed. And so mom's going to help little llama brush his teeth and take his little bath. So it's a little nighttime experience. This book I like a lot by Denise Fleming. It's called The Everything Book. And what's neat about it, this is another book that's really good to give as a baby gift because it lasts, there'll be things in it that will last, throughout all the preschool years. Like here's a little traffic light rhyme about, red light, yellow light, green light. It has counting in it. It has the seasons in it. It has little finger plays in it, identifying body parts, making faces, and it's also in the bright colors that are important for young kids. There's also the letters of the alphabet in it. So again, it's called The Everything Book by Denise Fleming. Peekaboo Morning, another one. We talked about a nighttime book. This is a Get Up in the Morning book by Rachel Isadore. And again, we have an African American child depicted in this story. Again, look, very simple text. We don't need anything too long for this very young age. There's a series of books about this character named Noodle. And Noodle likes to drive his little car. This is also a touch and feel book again. But very simple, very nice. There's a whole bunch of books in this series about Noodle, the panda, so you might like that. And one of my favorites by Leslie Patricelli. Now, she has done a lot of really wonderful books for babies again. This one, I actually have an autograph there. This is called Yummy Yucky. And I had her as a speaker one time. She told me about how when her child was a baby, he would go around and be putting everything in his mouth. And she'd be running after him going, yucky, yucky, don't put that in your mouth, yucky, yucky. And then if he was doing something good, she'd say yummy. So that's how she got the idea for this book, Yummy Yucky. It's a very popular book. You can look on YouTube and find examples of little children being read, having this book read to them, and some of them reacting at really cute videos on YouTube on this one, on Yummy Yucky. Some of my favorite pages, I have to show you just a couple of my favorite pages. Blueberries are yummy, but blue crayons, yucky. Soup is yummy, but soap, yucky. And back here a little bit further. Burgers are yummy, but boogers, ugh, yucky. So that's a really cute one. Okay, another category I'd like to talk about, and this is the last category for babies and the young toddlers, is a category, easy concepts. Simple, easy concepts that they can be introduced to, like colors. Not to drill them or teach them that they have to learn it, but just to expose them to some simple concepts. Here's a fun one. It's called, What Color is Bear's Underwear? And it's done in rhyme. Monday, fun day. The undies are red. Tuesday, blue day. Undies on the head. Wednesday undies, bear is wearing green. Thursday undies, purple ones are clean. Friday undies, yellow like the sun. Saturday undies, orange is number one. Sunday undies, blue, red, and white. Whatever the color, undies are dynamite. So that's a fun one. Will you wear a blue hat? You can actually sing this if you want. Will you wear a blue hat, blue hat, blue hat? Will you wear a blue hat all day long? And then it gets into the colors of red and also yellow. Another one that I know that everyone probably knows, it's Brown Bear, What Do You See? Now this is one of the few books, another good baby book to give, or to give to a baby. This is one of the few books that is good for so many ages for so many different reasons. For babies, they will love hearing the rhyme. When they get close to the age 2 or when they start identifying colors, they can join in with the colors, like Brown Bear, what do you see? I see a red bird looking at me. Preschoolers will still enjoy it. They can join in the refrain and say it along with you. And when children are first learning how to read, because of the repetitious text, perfect book to learn to read. So this book comes in all kinds of formats. It comes in board book, larger, smaller, whatever. But here, introducing some simple color concepts. As is the Curious George book here, my first book of color. This is another accordion book. It's black and white on one side for the first couple months of the baby's life. And then we have the colors and just a couple objects showing that particular color. The last one I want to talk about is one that's actually done in English and Mandarin Chinese. Again, it's hard to find books like this, and it's called A Nest in Springtime. There are actually 2 in the series so far, and it's by Bell Yang, and it's a bilingual book of numbers. So those are some really nice books. Now I want to talk about programming for babies and story times. You know, when we do story times for babies in the libraries, it really is for the caregiver. It's to model to the caregiver how to share books, how to share rhymes, how to share songs with their babies. It's not a simplified toddler program or preschool program. I would recommend holding it for children newborn age up to age 2. The program does not have to be thematically arranged. You don't have to have themes. Baby won't understand themes. What you want to do is share the importance of sharing simple rhymes and songs with the baby and modeling to the parent how to do that. You know, maybe having 10 to 15 caregivers is probably the limit you'll want. Usually the adults will sit in a semicircle with a librarian in front so they can see what's happening. It's good to repeat the rhymes sometimes because adults will learn the movements, and then you can clap after each rhyme and song because babies love to clap. You might want to keep a doll or teddy bear near you so that you can actually demonstrate how to do the rhymes. I usually use one that's anatomically correct with 5 fingers, 5 toes. You can buy them from some early childhood catalogs that will have them. If you go into your normal stores like Toys R Us or whatever, sometimes it's hard to find them with 5 distinct fingers and 5 toes, believe it or not, or they might be clenched or whatever. So if you do use a doll like that, try to have one that might be anatomically correct. You want to keep the program short, probably no longer than 20 minutes in length. Maybe you have a little playtime afterwards with some toys that are appropriate for babies, or some little art experiences that would be appropriate for babies. I would always have a take-home sheet so that the parents can practice the rhymes and songs at home. And you can also include in that take-home sheet some wonderful little early literacy tips. I'm going to talk about some books that will help you with programming that are good resources to consider. Here's one called Flannel Board Stories for Infants and Toddlers. It's by Ann Carlson, and I like this because it has nice, clear patterns in it that you can reproduce to make either a flannel board or a magnetic board story. Linda Ernst has several books about lap-sit programs, as she calls them. This one's called Baby Rhyming Time. She also has one called The Essential Lap-Sit Guide. Literacy development from 12 to 24 months. Beth Madigan has one called The Big Book of Stories, Songs, and Sing-Alongs. This is actually for babies, toddlers, and also families, if you have like family programming. The first book that ever came out that I know of or was aware of on baby programming in libraries was Mother Goose Time by Jane Marino. And it's nice because it has a lot of rhymes and songs in it to give you ideas for programming. Jane followed that up with one called Babies in the Library. And finally, this one by Jane Yolen. It's just a nice little book, baby's first poetry book and rhyme book. It just has some nice little rhymes and poems that you might want to use in a story time program. Okay. As far as doing story times, what I would recommend is that you have an opener, like a song or rhyme, preferably a song. You use the same opener every week, and then share one book that's appropriate for babies. I showed you many. Then do 3 or 4 rhymes. They can be hand-finger rhymes, rhymes where the parent's lifting the baby up and down, tickle-touch rhymes, but do 3 or 4 rhymes. So we have the opener song, we have a book, 3 or 4 rhymes, and then I would do another song. And then a book, 3 or 4 rhymes, a song, a closing song. So that's a nice little template that you can use for baby story times. So let's just look at a baby story time here real quickly and talk a little bit about it. I might start out with a song like, good morning to you, good morning to you, good morning, dear baby, good morning to you. And then share a book like this, possibly, Peekaboo which is large, has nice pictures the group would be able to see. Then I might do a finger hand rhyme like pat a cake, baker's man. Following it up by a toe foot rhyme. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a piggy by his toe. And then maybe follow that by a tickle touch rhyme like eye winker, Tom tinker, nose dropper, mouth eater, chin chopper, chin. And then a bounce lift rhyme like trot, trot to Boston, trot, trot to Lynn. Watch out, baby, or you'll fall in. And so what we're doing is we're bouncing the baby on our knees. And on the last line, I'm going to open my legs and let the baby fall in. And then a song. Peas porridge hot, peas porridge cold, peas porridge in the pot, 9 days old. Some like it hot, some like it cold, some like it in the pot, 9 days old. And then maybe a book like Where is Baby's Belly Button? I showed this earlier, but this is a larger version of it. Again, good for a group. They have some of these in large format. And then a toe foot rhyme. This little piggy went to market. This little piggy stayed home. This little piggy had roast beef. I'm sure you know that. Followed by a bounce lift rhyme. To market, to buy a fat pig. Home again, jiggity jig. And a finger hand rhyme like round and round the garden goes the teddy bear. 1 step, 2 step, tickle under there. And then maybe I'll finish with a song like, and this is about 20 minutes if you did it the whole way through. You can repeat the rhymes, clap in between. Skin-a-ma-rinky-dinky-dink, skin-a-ma-rinky-doo, I love you. Skin-a-ma-rinky-dinky-dink, skin-a-ma-rinky-doo. I hope you know that song too. So that'd be a good closer. I want to finish today just talking a little bit about some good music activities you can do with babies. You know, there are actual baby instruments that you can purchase. They're very interesting. They got, you know, all kinds of little sounds. Here's a little rattle, and this they can grasp. It has bells on it, as does the fish. This one has another little rattle, an egg shaker, some bells. These, now you can get them in different places, but I purchased these from West Music, www.westmusic.com. So having something like that, actually in the Storytime parents could dance, hold the baby, dance, and play with them. You can play peekaboo with scarves. They have scarves you can buy. You know, provide an egg shaker. For different ideas, you can look at this book called Kids Make Music and Babies Make Music Too by Lynn Kleiner. And I also would highly recommend the We Sing, Classic Rhymes and Lullabies. This is nice because we have We Sing Mother Goose and We Sing for Baby all in one edition here. So don't forget to use music with your babies. Last but not least, I did mention, there was one other resource I wanted to mention, I forgot. Mother Goose on the Loose is another really good one for planning programs. This is a whole book with rhymes and songs. It has a CD with it. And last but not least, this is an early literacy manual that I've been working on with Demco or Upstart. It's called the Very Ready Reading Program, and in it are 20 sample story times for babies. There's also a wonderful CD in there with all the songs that are in the stories or on the CD, and there's some nice take-home sheets for parents with early literacy tips that you can send right home. So this concludes the segment on sharing books with babies and sharing programs with babies in libraries from ages 0 to 2. Thank you.